Hey, Warwick.
Hey Nick, hey listeners.
Hello, listener.
Hey, have you got a joke ready for us?
I searched wide and far for a very topical joke for today's episode,
So you
which
spent
really
3 minutes Googling instead of two?
3 seconds and it came up straight away. Would you like to hear a building joke?
Ooh, I would, but I don't think the builders would.
That's okay. I'm still working on it.
Oh, boom, boom.
And that's a terrible joke because being a builder myself, I'm actually paying out on myself at the same time. I didn't think about that before I delivered it, but there you are.
Hang on, maybe we should just pause another 7 seconds, make sure everybody gets it, especially the plasterers. No, we won't. We won't diss on any particular trade, will we, Nick?
No dissing here. We love our trade.
You are part plasterer, though, aren't you?
Yes, a little bit. And a part builder, a little bit of all things.
A little bit of everything. It kind of sums up building, doesn't it?
Does a little bit. Look at you and your segue today. Nice work.
Coming in hot. Let's land this plane. We have a guest today, which you know, listeners, because you clicked on the episode and it tells you exactly who we're talking to. So it's not like it's ever a surprise. I should stop pretending we're on live radio, Nick. It's just a boyhood dream.
Well, okay. I'm going to float your boat just a little bit here for a moment. If you're like me, you just put the podcasts on play and they just keep playing on and on and on when you use Spotify. So I don't know what the next story is about that's about to come on my Spotify playlist. It just comes on.
I don't listen like that. I'm very selective with my listening.
Why does that not surprise me at all?
Well, I know that today's guest is very selective about a lot
Yes.
of things,
Yes.
especially when it comes to tattoo work. And his lovely wife is joining him as well, Liam and Samara Trethowan. Welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, look, it's your pleasure, I'm sure.
That's right. Yep.
Now, we have just been having some interesting conversations before we hit record, and I'm not going to go any further with those. So, listeners, you'll just have to reach out to our guests today and see if they'll actually engage in conversation with you about skin work and stuff.
Work and stuff. Right. Moving right along.
But let's talk about something else, Nick.
I would love for Liam and Samara to introduce themselves. Lots of our listeners will have heard from these two before, but then there's a whole bunch of listeners that might not. So, Liam, let's start with you. Who the heck are you?
G'day, listeners. Liam Trethowan, builder, and we cover residential and commercial building. This is on a work front, obviously. Tomorrow, being March 20, will be 7 years in business and pretty much a lifetime of construction work and carpentry. So me as a person, growing, adapting, changing, loving all things business.
Nice.
That was an elevator pitch that you wrote before we came into the episode today. It was bloody fantastic.
Are you reading from a teleprompter, Liam?
I think we need to give Warwick some lessons here. That was really...
help me stay on task. Still wouldn't happen. I'd just read between the lines.
Oh, it's terrible. All right, Samara, how about you? Who are you?
So I'm Liam's better half, Samara,
Yes.
also partner in our custom residential commercial building business. I joined our business 3.5 years ago. Previously veterinary nurse for 14 years, mum to our 2 babies, and multiple fur kids, I should say, as well.
Including a cat that hates you, I think. Don't you still have a cat that hates you?
Yeah, it's the vet nurse curse, literally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fur babies. Do we still call them fur babies when they have feathers?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, why not?
On the same blanket.
Yeah.
Fur and feather mum.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Why do you think we might be talking to you today? So I'm leading you into, you will have seen, if you did read the episode title, this is a real tradie story. Clearly we're talking to Liam, who is a builder, and the lovely Samara, partner in their building business. Why do you think maybe, though, we've asked you to come and chat with us today?
If I may.
Yeah, you go.
After being in carpentry since 2007, obviously 17 years this year, and 7 years in business, it's a bit of a progressional change throughout myself individually, us in a husband and wife relationship, and the growth within our business. And with us being in TIB for now 3.5, 4
Yeah,
years,
nearly 4 years.
there's been some significant change over that time frame, and a lot of wonderful implementation of different systems and procedures, and a constant reminder of what we could or should be doing better along that journey. That framework to support us personally, business-wise. It's a collective approach to be better round. So I believe it's a cohesive approach that we take to better ourselves in business and in work. So thank you.
Liam, you are a big one for team, I guess, and that extended definition of team or concept of team. Has that always been a part of how you run things, or did Samara beat that into you?
I believe it has always been a constant for myself and us, and much about having the right people on the bus, as you know, it's a common terminology. And with a cohesive approach, you know, a lot can be done, and our team is a reflection of us, and we want everyone that's with us to enjoy that ride. And I am here because I absolutely love building spaces, whether it be residential homes or commercial buildings, and I want people to enjoy that journey that we take, you know, in our construction company.
So team, when we talk about that, a lot of people just think straight away about employees, maybe, you know, like you guys, business partners, but I know for you that encompasses more than that. What's gone into you assembling your team? Like, how do you go about doing that?
Because I love what I do, the first question I ask people is, what do you love doing? And we do more with those collective partners. So whether it be consultant, supplier, employee, or life partner, or business coach alike, if it's a common approach to achieving a great result, then we want to work with them to get, you know, better results for our clients who can, you know, give us the work at the end of the day.
So was there an application for you, Samara, when you met Liam?
No, wrong phone number though. That was on my behalf.
You gave out someone else's.
No, yeah, I did actually accidentally, but you know, you found out, didn't you?
I just double checked before leaving the venue that the number that I received was correct or incorrect, and there was one.
You smelled a rat straight away.
Well, I tried to inform them of my movements, which I pride myself on my communication in life and business. And prior to me leaving the venue that we were both enjoying, the number did not connect.
No.
So
Oh, no.
Yeah, came and told me about it.
Abruptly.
Yeah.
What's the go with the false number?
Pretty much what came out of his mouth. Anyway.
And so you just felt bad, Samara, and here you guys are life partners.
That's right. Look, 16 years later.
Wow. So a huge chunk of your life together has actually been in, well, you've had the business. And I'm sure Nick has some questions in mind that she wants to ask before I jumped in and steamrolled the whole thing. But I just wanted to jump on that team thing because I know a lot of people think of team as employees and they don't think about team in the context of what you've talked about, Liam, of the broader view of our spouse, even our family. Our kids are part of our team when we're business owners because it permeates so many areas of our life, you know, our golfing buddies or other relatives, obviously coaches and accountants and legal team, finance, like that, all part of a team when we're running our business. And I think a lot of people probably get into strife because they take a bit of a narrow view of that as just their employees and they forget that there's all these other team members they've got access to and they either neglect them or they don't tap into them. And either one is a bit of a hassle. So I'm curious to know how you guys have approached the whole couple in business thing. And obviously, Nick and I know a lot about these two guys, listeners, because we have been working with them very closely for a few years, as Liam's pointed out. And so we are privy to some sometimes amusing conversations. Amusing for us as the coaches, at least, may not be amusing for Liam and Samara. But the couple in business thing can be tricky to navigate sometimes. And Samara, you've essentially given up a career to come and work full time in the business. How have you guys navigated all of that over the years?
Well, a primary one is with Samara joining the business, and that was to help us and running the vet clinic as a practice manager. She could see that her skills would contribute to our business better than running someone else's business. So again, that was Samara's want to join and to help. So that was, I've always wanted Samara to join the business and help, but never been pushed upon her to do so until it's been something that she wants to do. So in a, like for a subcontractor point of view, let's say we take a plumber, and there's plumbers that do maintenance plumbing, civil plumbing, subdrains, roofing. We ask our plumber, what do you enjoy doing? And we will get you to assist us on those jobs, and not, rather than making them do every bit of plumbing work on our jobs, we ask them what they enjoy doing. So then it just makes us more of a cohesive approach to all things in every aspect of our business.
Sorry, Nick, I was going to cut you off.
Oh, good.
I'll come back to the start of the question. I guess when we worked separately with my own career, I worked incredibly long hours, and we live on the border of New South Wales and Victoria. So middle of COVID, trying to cross the border to a different state, depending on who had locked who out, or that type of stuff. And the veterinary industry itself is, regardless in the middle of COVID, is always a stressful time. And working, very long hours with 2 young children, also trying to do bookwork and things for our own business. I wasn't ready to step into our business at that stage. I was still very invested in my own career. I'd worked really hard for those years to get to where I was. And I think COVID was a really big wake-up call for us as a team itself. We were pretty much, ships that just passed through the night. One would do daycare pickup or drop off, and you'd have a really brief conversation in the evening, and that would be it, because you're both so exhausted mentally and physically. That's when Liam was also on the tools back then as well. So I think for me, it was a really big wake-up call that I was missing out on so much of our life together. And, I really enjoyed what I did for our business behind the scenes. And, that's when I decided that, for the time being, it was right for us to become a team, not only as a family, but within our business as well. So, and if anything, I think it's, made our relationship, 1000% stronger. We don't always have the same thoughts. We don't always align on how we, think we should deal with something or that type of stuff. But, we're both very big communicators in that, we're never going to leave something unsaid in that way.
Okay, we're all laughing because we've been part of some of these conversations. I want to go back to some of the tin tacks, as distracted as I could get, and talk about the relationship stuff, whilst important, because I believe lots of our listeners don't believe it's possible to have a successful business and a successful personal relationship. So I do think we need to touch on that. I would like to take it back a step, though, and talk about in the first instance, when you first joined the company, clearly you had to define a role for yourself. And so I wonder 2 things. Did you take the same approach to what would become your responsibility as you do with your team? So Liam gave the example of the plumber and utilizing the right plumber for the area that he enjoys most, therefore is probably best at. Is that the kind of approach that you took when starting with the business? And then the second part to the question is, how did that change Liam's role, given that you do work together as a partnership? There's not one of you sitting on a organizational chart above the other. You work very much together. how did that then change Liam's role once you had found what it was that your role would entail?
So when I first joined the business, I think it was more so, you know, we had a couple of employees then. We also didn't have a lot of things in concrete when you think about an organizational chart, that type of stuff. So when I joined, it was, you know, I took on, I guess I literally hand wrote a list. We wrote that together of all the things that I qualified to do, of what I know what to do, and how I can implement that within our business is, I guess, in a management side of things, and where things were being looked over or didn't have time to be done, all of those things, so we could run our business a little bit more efficiently than putting out a lot of spot fires, purely because, you know, Liam is a wonderful business owner and manager and builder, but also tries to do everything. So at that stage, it was sort of like, what can I do that's going to make our business run more efficiently and, you know, and continue to, you know, build our business and grow. So, yeah. Did you have any? What?
Liam, how did it
Add to
change
that,
your role?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
How did it change your role?
Yeah, at the beginning, it was just more about a spot fire scenario. What can we do to assist each other? And what can I do you to assist and let you do building things and Samara do administration things, which she'd already been privy to some of that with invoicing, accounts payable, receivable, and the like. And that's shifted over the duration as to what do you enjoy. So Samara just recently completed an interior decorating course, and also with our future outlook, does she go down the interior designer route of the further study? However, we've got the ability to subcontract that out here locally, and she's able to provide that, but value add in the interests that she has. So Samara's, yes, we are able to, with the other local consultants and subcontractors, have that flexibility to outsource those other areas. And then Samara really enjoys the financial side of it with the accounts payable, receivable, but also with the back costing, so that then we know where we're at and what we can do to improve our future.
Samara, I want to come back to you then, because I'm speaking to all of the couples out there in business, and lots of gents listen to this podcast, and I'm sure plenty of them would like the opportunity to be supported in business like you two support one another. And so maybe they're scratching their head and thinking, well, they don't know about back costing. They don't know about building a house or tiling a bathroom or plumbing a shed. I don't know. I could come up with 1,000 examples. And I don't know how to build a house, but I can run a building company. They're two very different things. And I think often in the early stages of the journey, we get a little bit lost in what you do need to know and what you don't need to know. And then I think we're going to talk generalistically today, because generally in trade businesses, the gent is the tradie and the lady that is the wife or the partner is generally not, and they're leaving a career. When we first come into trade businesses, often it's doing stuff that we don't mind doing for exactly the reasons you've highlighted, because it's going to ease some stress, put out some fires, and start to reduce, I guess, that overwhelm that comes with being in business in the early days. But you've actually managed then to find a position where you've defined your own role. So I'd like to talk about, how do you do that when you don't know anything about building, or you know very little about building a house, first and foremost? And then how did that grow into a role for you that you now would consider your own independent career?
Yeah. So, I won't lie. When I guess I'll say I did jump ship, totally different careers, and industries. And, you know, I sort of followed, you know, managing a veterinary clinic from startup, you know, so budgets, you know, employees, targets that we were trying to meet, marketing, all of those sort of things, that all, you know, played a hand within, you know, coming into our business. So to me, I think owning a business, regardless of the industry, is still, you know, you're still following a lot of the same principles. So for me, though, I did have to dig deep a little bit and sort of, you know, pull my socks up and, you know, really get into knowing a lot of the building not just terminology, but how things are put together.
Mhm.
Effectively, could I get more of a pun there? But yeah, I guess it was just that, I don't know, how would I say that? Like we
had to adapt.
Yeah,
And
it was just that I had to learn it. It was, if I was creating a position for myself and financially, we obviously had to make that work. So, I was taking a wage from our business, replacing the wage that I had walked away from. So I had to make sure that what I was doing within our business was obviously cost effective, and making sure that we were still meeting the goals financially, or not even just financially, our own personal goals, that we were still able to finance that and make that happen.
Mm.
Nick's about to talk and I'm about to talk, and I think we both just put the boxing gloves on and went, righto, let's get stuck in here. No, I'm only kidding. I want to ask Liam about the guys' experience. And as Nick said, this is a generalization. Dudes on the tools, ladies in the office, running the business, dudes busy building things, fixing things, plumbing things, whatever, as the tradie. Liam, you obviously did it by yourself for a while. How did you have to, you talked about adapting, right? How did you personally have to adapt, or what things have you had to overcome to be able to take the business to the next level, which involves obviously having Samara very heavily involved in running the business?
the biggest one is, I would say, accepting change, accepting help. Also,
Have you done that, Liam? Sorry, I just can't resist, mate. It's so fun to rib you.
I think during COVID it taught us a lot of things, and I mean, side story, but we had to take on twice as much work to cover all the potential shortfalls that I could foresee with the fixed price contracts. So within that, brought an overwhelming amount of administration, and also head work in respect to getting jobs off the ground. And what that required is assistance to get those jobs done. So although I love things to be, in inverted commas, perfect, not everything can be perfect. And like, some of those things have taught us very valuable lessons through challenges that we've faced. However, I do see that with that, not delegation, I wouldn't say delegation is the right word, in like, letting go of tasks, but it's just guiding and taking the time to communicate it on several different levels of what you're trying to achieve, as in the outcome, the methodology, and the actual sequencing of the works, so that new people can grow within a role. So it would be that letting go, I guess, is the biggest part. I mean, I love doing invoicing, accounts payable, receivable, sending the invoice at a payment stage and seeing that money come in the bank. That's like the big, reward for effort at the end of the day. In some instances, I've, handed that over totally, so that those things can still get done on time, so that in that instance we can send the invoice out when it's due, and then we get paid, so we don't inherit our cash flow. And that's, Samara take full control of that. So that's just one example.
Okay, so clearly or not clearly, it hasn't always been smooth sailing, and there's going to be opportunity for tension, given that we're in a relationship as well as a working relationship, personal and working. How have you navigated through some of those times where it has been a little challenging?
Well,
constant communication, and equally explicitly time to turn off. Like, some instances at home, I wanted to talk through a scenario, and Samara's blatantly said, I don't want to talk about it. And it's accepting those boundaries in that respect as well.
Yeah, and I guess for us, we do try and have yes, we work together, and yes, we are married. However, for us, it is a business and we have to treat it as a business as well, and our private life away from our business. It's taken us a long time. I think, it doesn't just happen. We've had to separate ourselves away from our business. But, when you own a business, it effectively is your whole life. No one else is going to, step in and take all of all these things if something happens. So, that's why we've worked really hard to make sure that we can step away. We can take holidays without, being, phone calls every hour or 2 hours or, days, to be honest. So for us, when we're at home or we're, weekends, we don't really talk about work. That's, we keep it within business hours. But I guess, for us, we both value each other's opinion. And we both, not always, but we're always going to say what's on our mind. We're never going to be afraid of holding something back, because for us, it means then that person hasn't been able to voice what feels important to them, to the other person as well. And we both respect each other, to give each other space to have that opinion or that differing, we don't always agree on everything. I'll say 85, 90% of the time we do. But I guess that small 10% is the one where that's probably going to cause the most friction within our relationship. For us also, if there is ever friction, it's never ever shown or in front of our employees ever, because again, they're part of our team. They're, part of our, I guess, extended family team. So those sort of work conversations that would cause friction would always not be in front of our team. So
and to add to that, just to make it like a professional environment, so they feel that it's just speaking with two employees rather than a husband and a wife.
Yep. It's a tough thing to do is keep that division between all those spaces, especially when you work closely together. It's easy for actually, no, I won't say. Coxie and I often say it's easy for us because we're not in a life partnership, just a business partnership. But we're also really good friends, and sometimes our business relationship and our friend relationship can get a bit blurred. And so even the two of us need to stay mindful of that, of let's have some time to chat personally, and now let's get into business. And so there needs to be that transition between the spaces, which it's difficult to do, and the payoff is significant.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks. Nick, have you got anything else for Liam?
I've got something for Samara, actually. I'd like to know from Samara's point of view how Liam and his role and no, just those two things. I was going to lead us into some stray territory, but I won't. Those two things have changed with Liam since you came on board. What have you noticed?
So I guess I've taken a lot of admin, financial side tasks and working within our business. Also, when you think of sort of management of employees, all the sort of things that tick a business keep going. It has meant that Liam has been able to step away from those things and concentrate majority, 90% of project management of our projects, which, they are custom high-end homes. So they're not, they do take a lot more of a management side. Also means we're able to bring other team members in to, Liam hasn't been on the tools for quite a few years, but also means that he's stepped away from, doing site foreman work, I guess, if you would say that. So he's not having to do, all the running around doing site inspections, on the daily, or having multiple phone calls a day from subcontractors or suppliers. So that's meant that, we've been able to put these things in place and these steps and with our team members so that he can concentrate on building our business as well, and our projects as well.
What sort of personal effect has that had for both of you because as you said rightly before, business becomes your entire life, particularly if you allow it to be, and you guys have worked really hard to try and create some of those boundaries. So given what you've just said, what sort of personal benefit has there been to what has changed since you came on board?
I guess personal benefit, hopefully. It's easier for Liam now, when I guess, and I'm speaking for him when I say this, is that he probably felt like he was wearing, 15 different hats within a business. And at that time when I was not fully integrated into our business, I was really only wearing one. I was sort of, listen to his daily things, what was happening with projects, but I was never really involved or understanding if that whereas now obviously I have a much more in-depth understanding of how our projects run, challenges that he faces. So it's not only more of an emotional support that has been for him, that someone understands the depths of what it takes. It's not always easy and to say that it's smooth sailing, because there are a lot of things that happen in business that weigh on your shoulders, and that can be for quite a long period of time. And you don't turn off from it, but you have to try and put things in place to help minimize the stresses that come up with owning a business.
Totally.
Yeah.
Liam, where do you think it's shown up for you personally?
Sorry, what was that again?
Where do you think it's shown up for you personally, having Samara involved in the business, taking on this? Because what I'm hearing when Samara is talking is there's a different level of organization and structure now than there was before. Before it was one person wearing 15 hats, doing all of the tasks. It's hard to keep on top of everything. Now you guys, and I know that you love order and structure, as many of us do. That's a positive. I'd like to know how that has impacted you on a personal level, not so much the business level.
The main thing I would say is that I'm able to the creative direction of the business. So I would take a holistic view of where we should or could be going based off the current market and trends. And with, pretty much the key involvement with the sales process, I'm able to facilitate that. So, and able to seek opportunities with that, or go to events to foster relationships where a lead might come from. So I'm able to spend more time on the sales and the creative direction of the company. Secondly would be, and a big thing that's come from Samara being a part of the business, is just to have an involvement in family as well. So able to take the time to spend with family, to see our children grow up, and to partake in the events that they do. So the key one would be, with the collective approach, is to parenting as well, not just all falling on Samara's shoulders. I mean, Samara does take the lion's share, I will admit. However, with both of our involvement and my off-the-tools approach, I'm able to partake in their school events, or watch their extracurricular activities.
I reckon the other thing, Nick, is he has a day off a week now, and he plays golf. So that has been, I will say that Liam does struggle to reward himself for the work that he does, and giving himself the okay to go and do something that he enjoys, and that is golf. And that's what he does every Wednesday. He, might have a check-in first thing in the morning with our team, and then he's gone for the day. That's what he does. And that's really important for him to be able to chase things personally as well. Liam's an incredibly driven person. And so being able to take a step back and I guess realign himself with things that personally make him happy. And that's probably been another big thing, I think, as well.
Yeah, results have taken care of themselves, with a handicap from 20 down to 7.
That's how we should measure business success, is by your golf handicap, or how many fish you catch in a weekend, or something like that. You're just nailing it, Liam.
For 18 months, it's been super. That's, for the last 18 months, I've integrated that. I mean, it was, typically, the 4 hours in the afternoon, but it's creeping towards, a day.
2,
however,
maybe 3.
But the key thing is, we've created structure to create time to facilitate family life and your own personal investment in yourself, and also investing in yourself in regards to time away, because so much time, you never switch off from business. And where we speak about team is having that collective approach to deliver great results for great people. Therefore, when someone needs something, you're able to support that decision and know that whatever someone's doing, it's for the betterment of everyone involved. So I guess that's the other part. It is a selfish thing to play golf every Wednesday afternoon, yes. And it is a lot of time, yes. However, I would say that the positivity that comes from it has been wonderful for not just Samara and I, but our family and the things we do, but also the business, and being transparent again with the communication to all of our team with that I'm playing golf on a Wednesday afternoon for my own mental free space, for the betterment of myself and therefore our business as a collective. So again, coming back to the communication to our team.
I'm resisting the urge to coach you on the podcast. Liam, I'll save it for our next session.
I look forward to it.
Use the S word. All right. I'm going to ask you both a question that I've asked many guests over the years, almost 10 years of the podcast. And I'm going to start with Samara. 1,000 trade business owners in a room. What's one piece of advice you would like to leave them all with?
Oh my goodness. You always make me go first on things like this. What's
It's because I don't want Liam to take over.
get my answer in first. What would I want 1,000 tradies to know is that there's always support anywhere. The one thing I think I have seen in this industry is, yes, it is majority male dominated, and that people will generally, the male population, are afraid to ask for help. And that comes outside of our business and subcontractors that we, work alongside with, or suppliers that, there is that mentality that they have to, I guess, support everyone. So, financially provide for their family, or it's the give and give for other trades and that type of stuff. So I think, not only from a mental health perspective to ask for help, but even just your everyday, owning a business, getting admin support, getting more team members, hiring, and asking for help earlier. It's not as bad as what people think it is to ask for help.
Stellar
Nice one.
advice.
Thanks, Samara. How about you, Mr. Trethowan?
I would say the key, and I'm still working on it. The power of saying no to things. As all the other tradies out there, the people pleasing mentality comes out in many different ways, and throughout fear, or whether it's and the fear of missing out on an opportunity, that you say yes to too much, and then you spread yourself too thin, and you're unable to execute on the level that and should be done to deliver a project or an outcome or a service, whatever it may be. So I would say to people, it is hard, but back yourself and say no to some things, no matter how good it may feel. If you spread yourself too thin, it'll never be any good for anyone, and especially yourself, because you're a long time within your own hell.
Okay, I'm going to chop the end of this episode off, and every coaching session, it's going to go play as we walk into the coaching session, just to remind you.
Yeah. What have you said yes to this week, Liam? It's great advice.
Yeah.
Great advice. It's such a hard one. Love both of your perspective, and love working with you both. I get a lot of personal coach satisfaction out of seeing both of you grow in your roles and the challenges that you both overcome. So it's been awesome to have you back on the podcast. It's been a while since we spoke to you here, and it's been a lot of change for your journey and some exciting stuff to come, which our listeners know nothing about for Trethowan building. So really pumped about your future and some of the big decisions you guys will make and some of the hurty stuff that you've still got to deal with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think the new KPI in our business needs to be everybody's golf handicaps, and you're
Yeah.
the charge here, Liam. You've got lots of practice.
Got a head start.
Thank you,
All right.
guys. It's always a pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
your time
having
today.
us.